The final traces of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the British royal family are being erased, and this is far more significant than just the destruction of their former home.
A huge blow-up, a big fight around Harry's plans for summer return to the UK, including spending time at Balmoral, potentially, and reconnecting with the king.
Remember Freedom Flight? These days, Prince Harry doesn't look so free. Reports say major changes are coming to Frogmore Cottage, and the move is being viewed by many royal watchers as a powerful signal. The property that Harry and Meghan once called home is reportedly being transformed, and every change seems to push their chapter at Windsor further into the past.
It seems, as it's been revealed through The Sun, that assessments are being made of the property to see if it can be split yet again into either multiple residences, and basically to erase every single trace of Harry and Meghan on the property. And that is a really fascinating revelation.
Here's what people are talking about. The extensive renovations made during Harry and Meghan's time at Frogmore, including upgraded utilities, redesigned interiors, and custom additions, are reportedly being reversed as part of plans to return the property closer to its earlier layout.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are being erased from the history of Frogmore Cottage.
The cottage is expected to be divided back into multiple staff residences, just as it was before the Sussexes moved in. And that's the part raising eyebrows. The estate isn't simply being left vacant. Instead, resources are reportedly being spent to remove many of the changes associated with Harry and Meghan's time there. For some royal commentators, that sends a message that's impossible to ignore.
And of course, there was a lot of criticism about what Harry and Meghan, let's say, did. You know, they had to add a yoga room, a 5,000-pound copper tub, and all these sorts of things because Soho House, of course, was involved. I still am absolutely flummoxed by Meghan Markle's obsession with Soho House. I feel like I need to stay there one time and maybe, just maybe, I will understand, but I doubt it. It's just a place to lay your head, I guess, and hang out. And then obviously Harry and Meghan left the royal family.
To critics, it doesn't look like an ordinary property update. It looks like an effort to close a chapter completely. Every alteration being undone adds to the perception that the royal household wants Frogmore to represent something very different from the Sussex era. Then there's another detail that keeps coming up. During discussions surrounding housing arrangements, Prince Andrew was reportedly offered Frogmore Cottage as a possible option and chose not to move there. One source summed up the situation by saying the place has sat empty for 3 years, and even Andrew didn't think it was fit to move into. That leaves many people asking the same question. Why has this one property become such a talking point? Why does Frogmore continue to spark so much speculation years after Harry and Meghan left?
And initially, the house was actually subdivided into multiple sections because it was actually a residence for multiple staff members. So there was a process undertaken to redo the property, make it go from a multiple family residence to a single family residence. And of course, this was to the tune of millions of pounds. Some of those structural changes, these sorts of things, I'm sure were needed to upkeep a property.
For many observers, the debate surrounding the cottage reflects a much bigger story about Prince Harry's relationship with the royal family. And according to those following every twist and turn, the situation may be more complicated than ever. Meanwhile, questions continue to swirl around the Sussexes' business ventures. Some commentators argue that Harry's interest in maintaining ties to the UK may involve more than nostalgia or personal connections. They point to ongoing business pressures and growing public scrutiny.
There's so much you could talk about with Frogmore. Obviously, it was the home that Queen Elizabeth II gave to Harry and Meghan for their wedding. Now, gave is a very, let's say, in some ways misleading. It was sort of lent to them officially, unofficially. So how it works in the British monarchy is that there's a series of properties that belong to what is known as the Crown Estate. And the monarch, whoever that happens to be, can give some of those residences to members of the royal family, royal staffers, as a, let's say, a thank you for their long period of service and these sorts of things. And of course, Frogmore Cottage fell under that umbrella.
One topic getting attention is Meghan's lifestyle brand, as ever. While supporters remain optimistic, critics have questioned whether some products are generating the level of demand originally expected. Recent product launches have sparked plenty of online discussion, with commentators closely watching how the brand develops.
Meghan Markle is trying to ignite her failing brand as ever, and she has come across what I'm sure she feels like is a gangbuster idea, which is matches. Yes, oh yes, Meghan Markle is hoping literal fire helps her sell her failing brand as ever. However, I don't think this is going to work, just like everything else.
Some observers have also noted that certain products are being offered as part of bundled packages. Critics see that as a sign of marketing challenges, while supporters argue it's simply a common retail strategy used by brands across many industries. Either way, it's become another talking point in the ongoing debate.
Yes, oh yes. Guys, believe it or not, it took me forever to click this thing to get this to work earlier. But we have matches. And to be fair, Meghan Markle is following something I had previously suggested, which is that, in order to sell stubborn inventory that's not selling, sometimes it's a fairly good idea to offer something free with it. And I believe that's what's happening here. I'm pretty sure the matches are free with the candles. And that's not a bad idea. I'm not criticizing it. But what's interesting to consider as well is I think this reflects how poorly the brand overall is doing.
Adding even more speculation, some commentators have floated theories about how previous media earnings may have been invested into future business projects and inventory. These claims remain unverified, but they continue to circulate online as people try to understand the financial picture behind the Sussex brand. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear: the conversation around Harry, Meghan, Frogmore Cottage, and their future shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon.
Because Meghan Markle thinks that signature candles based on herself, her marriage, and her children are going to sell to the broader public. And she thinks now if the matches are offered individually, she thinks, let's say, offering those matches individually is going to get people to buy some as well, though I'm sure she's going to stock much fewer of those and much, much more in this signature scent collection to get this collection to move. And this is just such a bare bones basic idea. She is treating this matches, something you can get for cents, like 50 cents, 25 cents. She's offering matches as sort of a huge look at me style item. Now, if I refresh this page, is this still here?
Now picture the situation many royal commentators have been describing in Montecito: a massive estate to maintain, expensive private security costs, ongoing business projects facing intense public scrutiny, and long-term financial questions that continue to spark debate online. When you look at it that way, some people believe Harry's renewed interest in reconnecting with family may be about more than emotions alone. That's where the speculation gets interesting. For years, proximity to the monarchy brought enormous public attention and influence.
No matter how much they try to portray themselves as pseudo-royals, and I think you can see quite clearly on the part of the Duke of Sussex an attempt to try to open up an avenue to return to the fold.
Critics argue that once Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, they also lost access to the unique status that came with being closely tied to the crown. Whether that's fair or not, it's a point that keeps coming up in discussions about their future. Many people also remember the phrase "freedom flight" that became associated with Harry and Meghan's departure from the UK. At the time, it symbolized a fresh start and independence. But critics now point to those words as a reminder of how dramatically circumstances can change. According to their detractors, what once sounded confident is now being viewed through a very different lens.
And here they spent £2.4 million, originally of taxpayer money, which they later then paid for themselves, in order to put in these yoga studios, to put in all these copper baths and so forth. So much for living within your means. And now, of course, all comes to naught. It's quite a nice luxury to be able to spend 2.4 million without even thinking about it. But yes, I think the messaging here is quite clear. There is no place for them within the royal household, within the royal entourage, no matter how much they try to portray themselves.
One issue that continues to generate strong opinions is security. Harry has long argued that safety concerns affect his ability to visit the UK comfortably. Meanwhile, critics maintain that security arrangements should reflect his current non-working royal status. The debate remains heated, and neither side appears willing to back down anytime soon. For opponents, the argument is straightforward. They believe that stepping away from official royal duties means accepting the responsibilities and costs that come with that choice.
Sort of view on why people are so fascinated in the sort of fall of the House of Sussex is it doesn't reflect particularly well on the human heart, but there's a great concept in Greek tragedy and Greek drama called the chastisement of hubris, the chastisement of arrogance, the chastisement of, and I think that's why people remain fascinated by this story. Why on one hand they're like, oh, I hate her, I never want to see the sight of her again, I can't bear it. But the other side, we can't help reading about the latest disaster to befall them with the sight, and it's because of what they did to the royal family. Is because of the way they left, saying that they were going to redefine service, that this was going to be a whole new world and we were just going to get to play in it.
Supporters, on the other hand, argue that security concerns should be evaluated separately from family disagreements. It's a debate that continues to divide public opinion. What makes the issue so important is that security is often seen as the gateway to everything else. Easier travel, longer visits, and more opportunities for family contact all become possible if those concerns are resolved. That's why every development in this ongoing dispute attracts so much attention. At the same time, rumors about tensions behind the scenes have continued to circulate. According to various reports and claims discussed by commentators, Harry had hoped for opportunities to spend more time in the UK and Europe, including possible family visits during the summer months.
According to reports, Meghan was furious after hearing claims that she and the children would not be welcomed by William and Catherine, leading to what began as a disagreement into what insiders describe as a showdown. Okay, now these claims come from an unnamed source and have not been independently verified, but let me just say something. It makes sense. It makes sense. And also, the story that I did around Meghan and trying to connect with her arch nemesis to find favor with Queen Camilla makes a lot of sense, because she's not going to want to go if she can't have an ally, if she can't build some kind of connection to someone in the UK.
Some reports suggested he wanted stronger family connections and more time together during an especially sensitive period for the royal family. Then came another wave of claims that quickly grabbed headlines. According to these reports, Prince William and Princess Catherine were said to prefer keeping distance from any potential family disputes and wanted a peaceful summer focused on their own priorities. These reports remain unverified, but they fueled even more speculation about the state of family relationships.
For years, Prince Harry insisted he wanted one thing above all else: family. Okay? Not the institution, not the titles, not the palace. Family is what he wanted. And according to a new bombshell report, that desire may have triggered one of the biggest fights yet between Harry and Meghan. And behind the carefully curated anniversary photos, don't we look nice? Because I'm painting the pictures.
From there, the story only became more dramatic. Commentators claimed that disagreements over future plans created fresh tension within the Sussex household. As with many royal rumors, separating fact from speculation can be difficult. Still, the reports spread rapidly and became another major topic of conversation among royal watchers. And according to those same accounts, one particular statement reportedly emerged from the dispute, a statement that, if true, could leave Harry facing some very difficult questions about where things go from here. According to reports and ongoing speculation, Meghan allegedly drew a firm line when discussions about Britain came up. The reported message was simple: if you want to go to Britain, go ahead, but the kids and me, we are not going.
Now, the trouble reportedly started when Harry began planning what he had hoped would be a meaningful summer in Europe. And does it not make sense? He wants not a vacation, he wants a reunion, a chance for Archie and Lily to spend time with their grandfather, King Charles, a chance to reconnect with his roots, a chance to remind his children where they come from. But then came the information that allegedly changed everything. According to a report, Meghan learned that William and Catherine supposedly wanted nothing to do with the Sussexes and did not want family tensions disrupting their time in Britain.
Whether that conversation happened exactly that way or not, the claim struck a nerve because it paints a picture of Harry caught between two very different worlds. On one side is the life he built in California. On the other is the country, family, and history that shaped him. That's a tough position for anyone, and it's one reason stories about Harry's future continue to grab headlines year after year. Reports also claim that shortly after the disagreement, Meghan traveled to Switzerland while Harry remained in California.
The thaw may be coming from Buckingham Palace, certainly from in the part of the office of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Things are as frosty, if not frostbitten, as ever.
Is now being led by Prince William, and William is absolutely categorical.
Some commentators brushed it off as a normal disagreement between spouses. Others saw something deeper. Their argument is that the issue isn't really about one trip. It's about two completely different visions for the future. According to that view, Harry still feels a pull toward Britain and the connections he left behind. Meghan, meanwhile, is often portrayed by commentators as being focused on building a future elsewhere. If two people are moving toward different destinations, critics argue, the challenge becomes much bigger than a single disagreement.
What the heck is the World Health Organization doing fixating with Meghan Markle on social media and this project she had in Geneva, when the reality is we've got a new Ebola outbreak that's actually quite frightening. It's one of those common sense headlines that when I read it, I thought, how did we not talk about this a week ago?
Then came Meghan's appearance in Geneva, an event that attracted plenty of media attention. Supporters viewed it as another opportunity for her to engage with global issues and international organizations. Critics, however, focused on something else entirely: the size of the audience and the overall impact of the event. One journalist who reportedly attended the gathering offered a particularly sharp assessment.
Well, I think that, look, it's a pretty dry and dusty town, Geneva. Do you know what I mean? There's not a lot of stardust and there's not a lot of glamour. So I think in one sense, they'll take what they can get. And this is what they could get to sort of, and what's quite interesting about it is that they're trying to also, it was the beginning of a thing called World Health Awareness Week or something, where all the health ministers fly into Geneva basically for massive freebie, as far as I could tell, to talk about stuff.
According to accounts that circulated afterward, attendance was much lower than some had expected. One description that gained traction claimed there were barely enough people to fill a British phone box. Fair or not, that line quickly spread online and became one of the most repeated observations about the event. But the attendance discussion wasn't the only controversy. A photograph from the trip generated another round of criticism after Meghan was seen posing with a foreign health official who had previously faced serious public criticism over reported remarks. Critics questioned whether more background checks should have been done before the photo opportunity took place.
Finnish health minister, I mean, this shows you the kind of Z-listness of the whole thing, that we had this kind of Finnish health minister who turned out to be a sort of vile misogynist and literally accused of sex crimes
And racism.
Posing for a selfie, Meghan allowing him to take a selfie with her. But the whole thing is, Kinsey, right? It's like organizing a foreign tour for a member of the royal family is really, really difficult. It needs absolutely massive organization. You need massive levels of vetting, and you need like real local power, because you need to be able to say, well, who is coming to this dinner?
For some royal commentators, that incident highlighted a larger issue. They argue that life outside the royal system comes with fewer layers of review and fewer advisors checking every detail. In their view, that's one reason public appearances can sometimes generate unexpected headlines. Those same critics point out that major royal engagements are often planned months in advance, with teams of staff handling logistics, scheduling, security, and public relations.
So I think the whole problem with the whole Geneva trip is like a microcosm of like everything that's gone wrong with like the whole operation, isn't it? Because it's like real confusion about what you are. Are you like a crowd pleaser? Are you like a deep thinker? Are you like a political this? Who are you? What is your brand? What are you trying to structure yourself as? But most importantly, there's no sort of heft to back it up. There's no infrastructure to back it up anymore. We know the whole thing's collapsed. We know they've got no staff left. We know the charities have been shut down. We know that the production company is basically just what I believe in your town they call a label, which just kind of slaps their label onto other people's products.
Outside that structure, every decision carries greater risk, and one overlooked detail can suddenly become the story everyone is talking about. Meanwhile, media coverage of the Geneva appearance sparked another debate. Several outlets published remarkably similar descriptions, including variations of the phrase, "Meghan delivers powerful speech." Critics argued that some reports relied too heavily on prepared statements, while supporters maintained that the speech itself deserved positive attention regardless of crowd size.
That's where we are right now with Harry and Meghan and their relationship. Now, whether or not Harry's going to suppress his feelings and know it's just gone for the rest of his life, that he has to be in California with these children forever or until they turn 18, then that's one story. But will that be Harry's forever story? Will he never, ever want to go against Meghan again? I don't know. It just depends on how strong his desire is to see things right.
So as questions continue to swirl around public appearances, business ventures, and family relationships, many observers are left wondering whether the door to Britain is really closed, or whether another dramatic twist is still waiting just around the corner. But there's another narrative gaining attention right now, and it's one that some commentators are pushing hard. According to this version of events, Prince Harry may not be as distant from the royal family as many people assume. Supporters of this theory claim there are signs that relationships behind the scenes are slowly improving, and that a possible reconciliation is not as far-fetched as it once seemed.
Yes, I think the messaging here is quite clear. There is no place for them within the royal household, within the royal entourage, no matter how much they try to portray themselves as pseudo-royals. And I think you can see quite clearly on the part of the Duke of Sussex an attempt to try to open up an avenue to return to the fold. As I like to say, he really only knows how to be a prince, a soldier, and a polo player, none of which are very useful when you live in California. And that's why you're seeing increasingly these attempts to try to ape the royals and go on these trips to Australia and elsewhere.
They point to a series of moments they believe are too closely aligned to ignore. For example, Harry has spoken publicly on certain issues, including anti-Semitism, and some observers notice similarities between those comments and themes later emphasized by King Charles. Others have highlighted occasions when Harry made public remarks shortly before major royal engagements involving his father. To some, these timing overlaps seem noteworthy. Officially, however, there has been no confirmation that any coordination exists. Publicly, such similarities are often described as coincidences. Still, those who support the reconciliation theory argue that the pattern appears often enough to keep speculation alive. Whether they're right or wrong, it's a discussion that continues to generate plenty of interest.
Charles has made it very clear that he wants Harry back. You know, we saw it in Harry's book. Don't make my life a misery, but don't make my final years a misery, boys.
Some commentators even suggest that communication between father and son may be stronger than people realize. Their theory is that certain public statements could serve as subtle signals or testing grounds, allowing both sides to gauge reactions before making bigger moves. There is no public evidence proving this, but it remains a popular talking point among royal watchers. Adding fuel to that speculation is King Charles's widely reported desire for family unity. Over the years, many observers have described Charles as someone who values reconciliation and family connections.
No matter how much they try to portray themselves as pseudo-royals, and I think you can see quite clearly on the part of the Duke of Sussex an attempt to try to open up an avenue to return to the fold.
Harry's own memoir, Spare, also contributed to discussions about the complicated relationship between father and son. As a result, some believe Charles would welcome an opportunity to repair those bonds if circumstances allowed. But this is where the story hits its biggest obstacle: Prince William. According to numerous reports and royal commentators, William's position is viewed very differently. While details of private family relationships remain unknown, many observers believe the divide between the brothers remains deep and unresolved. In fact, a number of royal analysts argue that William's influence over the monarchy's future is becoming increasingly important.
And so since then, the house has sat vacant, of course, as well. This was a suggested property for Andrew to move into, and he didn't. And I think he ended up with something worse because of it. He should have just taken Frogmore Cottage. But it seems to be that people feel like, around the Crown Estate at least, that there's some bad juju connected to Frogmore Cottage, and particularly because of Harry.
As heir to the throne, his views naturally carry significant weight. That's why so much attention is paid to reports suggesting he remains cautious about any major reconciliation efforts involving Harry. For those promoting the idea of a smooth return to royal life, this presents a major challenge. Even if some family members favor rebuilding relationships, many commentators believe any long-term solution would require broader agreement within the royal family itself, and according to those observers, that's far from guaranteed. Meanwhile, public opinion remains another major factor. Polls, commentary, and media discussions continue to show strong feelings on all sides of the debate. Some people support reconciliation, while others believe the separation should remain exactly as it is. What makes the situation so fascinating is that there still appears to be no clear consensus. So while rumors of a royal reunion continue to surface, the biggest question remains unchanged. Even if one door appears slightly open, are the people holding the keys willing to unlock it?
Frog no more. The Sun does a really great job of their headlines. Like it's masterclass. The Brits do just a fantastic job. Page 6 in the United States does fairly well. It says final traces of Harry and Meghan to be wiped from Frogmore Cottage as £2.4 million revamp is reversed 3 years after eviction. So I honestly will say as well, it doesn't look all that great for the royal family.
The answer may determine the future of this family drama for years to come. According to many commentators, the more discussion there is about Harry potentially returning to an official royal role, the stronger the reaction becomes. Some royal supporters have openly said they would oppose any move that brings him back into the heart of the institution, showing just how divided opinions remain. And for critics, the debate goes far beyond Frogmore Cottage. They argued that the cottage was only one part of a much larger conversation about Harry and Meghan's place in the royal story. Online discussions are filled with demands ranging from changes to titles and royal responsibilities to broader questions about the Sussexes' long-term relationship with the monarchy. Whether those views represent the majority or not, they highlight how emotional this issue has become. Years after the departure that became known as the Freedom Flight, people are still arguing over what it meant, what it changed, and whether any path back truly exists. So while Harry may continue exploring ways to reconnect with Britain and his family, the debate surrounding his future remains as intense as ever. One thing is certain, this story is far from over, and every new development keeps the conversation alive. And if you want the latest royal drama, breaking updates, and the biggest stories as they happen, make sure to subscribe to Crown Clash. I bring you fresh royal news and updates every single day, so don't miss out.